Happy Sabbath, everybody, and happy Canada Day. I wanted to share a little bit of something about how this country was founded and why this is such a very, very special country. It is an honor and a privilege to be living in this country my entire life. And I believe that there are a lot of other Canadians that feel the same way. And I wanted to share about how this country was founded. This is from 1960. This is the Canadian Bill of Rights. This is a federal law. The Parliament of Canada affirming that the Canadian nation is founded upon the principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God, the dignity and worth of the human person, and the position of the family in a society of free men and free institutions. That's the Canadian Bill of Rights. It was brought into law during the reign of Prime Minister John Diefenbaker in 1960. And here's what John had to say about Canada and our future. There can be no dedication to Canada's future without a knowledge of its past. This country, as the Bill of Rights said, was built and founded on the principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God. Our country was founded in 1867. And this was written in 1960, which meant that these laws were already enacted way back at the beginning. And the question then becomes, where did we get our laws from? We got our laws specifically from England, which is the Saxon tribe that came out of the 10 barbarian tribes that actually were brought out from the Roman Empire. And you can trace this all the way back in the Bible through Daniel chapter 2, when you go through Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, the Roman Empire, and then it broke up into 10 nations. One of those was the Saxons, and the Saxons eventually converted to from what we today call Roman civil law that pretty much started all the way back in Babylon and Egypt, and they turned it over to common law, which recognized the supremacy of God and the dignity and worth of the human being and the family. But another thing to bring out about Canada itself is that before 1867, we had First Nations here and Aboriginal people that lived over here. And there were a group of Seventh-day Adventists that got together and started doing research on these Aboriginal people. And they found out some interesting things in regards to how they worshiped the Great Spirit, how they hunted their food and ate their foods, how they blessed their foods, and just their overall demeanor in regards to how they lived their lives in their tribes. And there were several of these, especially on the west coast of North America. And what was fascinating is that they had really no contact with the outside world. So they didn't know anything about Christianity. They didn't really know anything in regards to what Jews thought or what Christians thought. What they were capable of doing was being in tune with the stars, the alignment of the stars, the seasons, the times. And because of that, they were able to get in touch with nature and to get in touch with God's creation. They knew that there was a spirit. They knew there was a great spirit, but they didn't really know what that spirit was. And in the end, these researchers, when they started studying the First Nations, they realized that they pretty much lived like Seventh-day Adventists without actually being Seventh-day Adventists. And it just lets you know that the stones are crying out, that everywhere we go, we can see in history where God's signature and God's history and God's archaeology and God's mindset has been put in man, and that there is a yearning for something else out there. Today we know that Great Spirit is God and that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And this country was founded on the supremacy of understanding that Jesus is God, or that just the supremacy of God and the ability to worship in the way we want. It's an honor to live in this country. We're one of the freest countries in the world, and it is a responsibility of each and every one of us to welcome everyone that visits this country, that decides to become citizens of this country, that are citizens of this country, to help us be warming and welcome in that spirit that Jesus Christ had given us those many, many years ago. Thank you very much.